Good morning, Ultimate Hustlers. Today's show, we're talking about holistic mental health. I've got a very special guest who's going to come hang out with me. Madam Chi Smith is in the building from InEarthgie.com. And we're talking how to manage your mental health in wholeness, right? How do you incorporate mental health in the things you eat, the things you consume? All of this plays a part psychologically on how well you're going to be. And there's no better person on the planet to talk about this subject than InEarthgie Chi Smith. So do me a favor, comment in the chat where you're from. Make sure you drop the name of your business and or your brand. Just do not post any links, but smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to be in for a treat. And if you stick around to the end of today's show, she has a special discount for the Cortez Hustle Show viewers that you definitely want to take advantage of. So y'all know how we do, man. It is time for us to kick it. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ultimate Hustlers, digital empire builders, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show this morning. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, also known as the one and only financial health mentor, coming to you live and direct from the Monetize My Life studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. And y'all know I'm still giving away a free copy of my book, Monetize My Life, 4 incredibly simple ways to turn your passions into profit with little to no startup cost. There's no excuse, guys. If you want to get into entrepreneurship, the easiest thing for you to do is find 1 or 2 ways to get paid for 1 or 2 things that you already love to do, build a brand and a system around it. And this book teaches you how to do that. And I want to give you a copy for free. All you got to do is go over to monetizemylifeacademy.com/free book. For a limited time, you'll also get instant access to my course, How to Become an Influencer. Powerful, powerful stuff, guys. And I want to bless you with that because that's going to put you on the path to building wealth for you and your family. A couple quick announcements before we bring on our very special guest, Ms. Chi Smith, in the building. We're talking holistic mental health. You got to look at it as a whole picture, right? Everything that you do affects your mental health. So you need to pay attention to those things. And we're going to talk all about that today. But if you have not already joined Wealth Creation Playbook Group right here on Facebook, that is our exclusive community where I give you all the different playbooks that you need to build wealth. You need a playbook on how to fix your credit. You need the investment playbook. You need the entrepreneurship playbook. If you're already in business, you need the branding and marketing playbook. All of those things are inside a free community right here on Facebook called Wealth Creation Playbook. All you got to do is go ask to join, and I'll let you in that group. Also, I'm looking for a few single moms who want to build a business in the financial education space. You'll get access to our professionals that will help you in your own personal finances. B, I'll teach you how to build a brand around who you are and how to teach other people a simple set of strategies that can transform anyone's finances in record time. So I've got a special 50% off discount for single moms. If you guys are interested in that, just text keyword single mom to 314-874-6887, and I'll send you the details on what we got going on. Do me a favor, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and smash that share button. Now it is time for me to introduce my very special guest. I've watched this young lady. We're part of the same community, the Black Billionaires Club. We know some of the same folks, and I've been seeing her do her thing, man, and really helping people understand how to take a holistic approach to overall health. But she's also qualified and trained to help you really hone in on your mental health and all the things that entails. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to present to some of you guys and introduce to others as soon as I take my branding off the screen. Let's welcome Miss Chi Smith. Top of the morning to you, sis. How are you?
Top of the morning, Grand Rising King.
Awesome. Well, listen, before we get into who you are and your background and all of that kind of stuff, I always like to start the show off with what I call the quote of the day. So right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, we do a simple quote, and I'll let you give your takeaway, your thoughts on this quote, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll let the people know exactly who you are and what you do. So today's quote of the day on the Cortez Hustle Show is this: a man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. And that's by Oliver Wendell Holmes. A man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. So do you have a favorite quote that you like to live by, or that you like that's a part of who you are, or do you want to chime in on that one?
I do have one, but goodness, that was a great one as well. So listen, I'm all about literature. So, Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. And that is often my mantra each and every day. If I'm not being true, that's a problem. I got to be true to me first.
I love it. Yeah, that's in a world where everybody wants to be on social media and out in the forefront. The temptation to create this phony life is very, very real. And I can imagine how that can create some problems mental health wise. And we'll get into that really quickly. But also when it comes to stretching the mind, guys, this is why it's important that you get out of your comfort zone as often as possible. Because when you do routine stuff, you don't realize that you're literally killing your brain, right? The brain grows based on new information constantly and consistently. And the minute you fall into a rut and a routine, your brain is saying, hey, there's nothing new coming in. So let's kill off some of these neural connections, because if otherwise they're feeding something you're not using. So it's important that if you want to continue to grow, then continue to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. My mentors got me taking cold showers every morning for that purpose, right? And here's the other thing about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. When life puts you in those uncomfortable situations, it's nothing new to you because you've been putting yourself in them all your life. So that is the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by InEarthgie.com. We got a special discount for you guys if you stick around to the end of the show, and I will let you talk about some of the things that she has available for you. But let's dive in, man. People want to know exactly why I brought you here. We're talking holistic mental health. So before we get into that, tell everybody, who the heck are you?
Well, I am absolutely a wellness care coach.
Mm-hmm.
I pride myself with that particular title, and I feel like I've earned it, right? So a lot of times we
Yeah.
don't give ourselves the credit for saying, I've earned that, right? You know, a
Mm-hmm.
wellness care coach. I care about your wellness, I care about my wellness. I come from the natural state where a lot of natural resources, a lot of natural ingredients. Those of you who may not know, that is Arkansas. So I am a native of Arkansas, born and raised.
Yeah.
And so we know a lot about natural resources. And so little did I understand that played a part in my upbringing, as
Mm-hmm.
well as coming from a family with a healthcare background. And so
Yeah.
because of that, that exposed me to a lot of different things. Hence, I, created and developed a love for the science, and assumed that I was going to be someone's doctor one day. I literally will walk around with this little play computer my parents got me, and books and stuff, and a pen and
Mm-hmm.
paper, and literally like would act it out. And so little did I understand that my destiny or the pathway through life, even though I experienced some hardships that I'm going to dive into, I still had a passion for health and science and wholeness. And
Mm-hmm.
it just was a part of me. With that, though, and those ambitions young, I did incur a lot of health challenges.
Okay.
At the age of 5, I had a lot of health conditions. I was diagnosed with some upper respiratory challenges. I constantly stayed in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much doctors and practitioners and specialists said she can't go outside like ever.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's literally. So whenever my mom would take me to visit grandparents or other family members, there would be a bag of medicines and medications. Half the time my mom was scared to, leave me. It was really crazy. My dad stepped up in a lot of different ways and really assist too. But it was just kind of like a knowing that,
Mm-hmm.
this little girl have all these challenges. And so along with that came also the external stresses of life as you grow and become a young adult, and all that society has, and all that maybe some family challenges may have taken a toll on you. So with internal health conditions and then external belief systems,
Mm-hmm.
put those together kind of created a bit of a disaster
Yeah.
for me, right? And so, but there was still a little spark. But I will also lead on to say at the age of 14, I started losing my hair. So
Mm.
many of you may say, oh my God, like she's bald. Like, okay, whether you guys think I'm beautiful or not, which is fine. But the point is, I have alopecia.
Okay.
And I didn't know that I had started with that particular condition at the age of 14. And
Mm-hmm.
again, with internal health conditions, meaning my internal self was not whole. And then,
Yeah.
of course, external stressors led to hair loss. And it continued on until I was brave enough and had the confidence to shave it all off 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I know we'll keep going, Cortez, and let me know whenever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And I think that that's a good foundation for us to kind of start from, because I want to dive in. This is Mental Health and Wellness Month, and we're talking about a holistic approach to mental health. And even before we get into what seems like started you down this journey yourself, let's talk about your mom, and how did she cope and deal with the mental stresses of, because it had to be like, I have a brother-in-law and then a sister-in-law who their children have sickle cell. And if you know anybody who deals with sickle cell and the sickle cell crisis, and it's a lot of pain and that kind of stuff. So I kind of, when you were speaking, I was like, man, that's kind of like my brother and sister-in-law. They kind of have to always be on guard, like stuff like that. So how did your mom deal with the mental stress of, hey, this is my baby, I want her to be a kid, but at the same time, this is very serious, and there's certain things she can and cannot do. That means for mom, there's certain things that mom can and cannot do. Did she have any challenges with mental stress because of your early struggles with health?
Sure. And I would absolutely, say that both parents, right? So both my parents absolutely created this level of stress and understanding, what can we do with this little girl? We can't keep her in the house. We have a life. Both of my parents are social people. And
Okay.
so they love to travel. They love to visit family. They love people. They're helpers. I mean, they go above and beyond. So that was kind of a hurdle, yes, that they had to overcome. Again, setting a plan was very important for both of my parents to sit down together and say, okay, this is what we can eat. This is what the house has to be like, right? So we have to set up the house in a certain way. We can't bring every plant in the house. When people come in the house, they have to, do certain things before they can get comfortable, right? So clothes can't be everywhere, shoes can't be everywhere. If you came from outside, you got to go straight to the shower, and it's just all these different things to keep. For me, from a respiratory perspective, right? Because everything comes through inhalation as well as
Right.
from eat, but things that I would inhale, of course, as nose go down, throat goes down, lungs, all that, and it was just a lot. So creating a plan first to understand these are the things that we can incorporate in our daily life. These are things that we can and cannot do, and this is what it has to be when we go and we visit family. And so they stayed with that. And that's the first step, right? Is kind of understanding this is where we are. And I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place and we'll get more into it, but that's also a part of the services that we provide is helping people understand, okay, if you feel like you're in a place where you can't change it, where are you and what can we accept right now? And let's build from there. Right?
I love it. Because that is very true. It's kind of like the first thing that a GPS wants to know before it takes you where you're trying to get to is where are you right now? And I'm assuming that there has to be a level of acceptance of where you are right now as well, because some people are that whole fake it till you make it. People take that out of context, and it's like, no, that's cool if you want to do that on another level. But when you talking about your health, ain't no fake it till you make it. It's like you got to accept where you are, because if they were faking it till you making it, hey, my daughter's healed, I'm not going to worry about that, and all kinds of stuff was coming into your environment, that's not good. That's not healthy. So having a plan and the discipline to stick to the plan was the foundation for your parents. And talk about how, because I can imagine they had to have come to a place where they could not care what other people think, right? Because think about it, if I'm coming to your house and I got to do all of this stuff, naturally somebody is going to say, oh, y'all just going overboard. That little girl just got allergies. Stop playing, right? What was that? Did you ever hear them or talk about, conversations around, hey, man, listen, if you don't want to abide by these rules, then you can't come in here, just period, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. So look, and I'm a big family person, and I'm sure they're watching right now. So, but but no fault to their own, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And let me just use people who are smokers, for an example. We had smokers in the family. My daddy used to smoke, and that was one of the common grounds that my parents had as they were building their plan. Hey, brother, you got to figure, you can't do that, right? You can't do that around her in the close proximity of her. We would have certain family members. I couldn't go, in certain rooms. I couldn't go in certain number of feet within them. If we were traveling, they had to ride with the windows down, but then that didn't help because as we understand with air circulation, you let your window down, it come right back to the back and I'm, breathing it all in, before you know it, I'm wheezing before we get to our place of destination, so it was a challenge, but when consistency is key. And so that's another thing that we also help our clients with is, once we build that plan, once we understand where we are, and once we create that plan, let's become consistent with that thing. It has you have to do it every day. It has to be, you have to be reminded every single day that this is what it has to be in order for me to get to a place of healing, to a place of wholeness, to a place of health, all of that. You know, if you're not consistent in doing it, then we're starting for nothing. And so my parents were very key in that they were consistent with the message. So people knew they just had to go to a different room, or, you know, it may have taken them out of their comfort zone because it may have been in their own home, right? You mean I can't smoke in my own house?
Well, yeah, if you want to have us come over and visit, then yeah, we got to create. It's kind of like, it's like when the president comes to town, right? It's like Secret Service goes out a month ahead of time. They scout everything out and they like, hey, now you got to move this. Now you got to take this out. Now this plant got to go in the back porch. And now we can bring in Madam Chi and you can be blessed with her presence. But if we don't do these certain things ahead of time, then we can't come because we literally are putting our daughter's life at stake. And man, it's got to feel good to know that you had parents that went through all of that, man, to make sure that you had as much of a normal childhood as you could, while keeping you safe at the same time. So shout out to Parent Chi out there, because that's amazing, man. So really quickly, we're going to continue on this journey, and we're going to get into what must have been difficult for a young lady at 14 years old to start losing the hair. And I know for a fact how cruel kids can be and how you dealt with that journey. But it's time for 1 minute motivation. 1 minute motivation on the Cortez Hustle Show, Chi, is where we play a short 1 minute motivational video clip. And I just have you write down a takeaway or two and just share your thoughts from what you hear. Then I'll give a takeaway. And the audience normally gives a takeaway or two as well. So right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, it is time for 1 minute motivation. So check this out.
That most people do in their whole life.
I didn't need no help. The president never came and said to me, E.T., we're going to help your program for this institution blow up. It was my dream. It was my goal. I don't expect you to believe in my dream like I believe in my dream. And the problem with some of y'all is you want somebody else to support your dream. It's yours. I don't owe you a dime. It's your dream. If you wanted to happen, get your butt up and make it happen. If you wanted to happen, rise and grind. If you wanted to happen, you're going to have to do what I do, and that's get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you wanted to happen, that means you're going to have to get home at 2:15 and get your butt up at 5 so you can get to Detroit by 6. I dare you under every single circumstance, keep dreaming, keep looking at your dream, keep focusing on your dream, keep going after the dream, because that's where true success is.
Hoo-wee, that is the great Eric Thomas, aka the hip hop preacher. So one of the reasons I love to do this, G, is because we all just listened to the same clip, but we all heard something different, right? That's how amazing the mind is. We all listened to the same thing, but we all heard something different. So what did you hear, sis?
Man, get your butt up.
Yeah, man.
Because you have it's in action. Results come with action. Right. And I love that he gave that time frame. You got home at 2:15, but you need to get up at 5. Get your butt up and get moving.
Yeah, so, that your dreams don't care that you only got 1 hour and 45 minutes of sleep. Your dreams don't care about that. You got to be somewhere at 6. You can take you 1 hour to get there. Get your butt up. Man, I love it. I love it. I'm a huge advocate of having people understand that you don't need nobody else to believe in your dream. And that's what I think we make a huge mistake, right? I'm a Christian entrepreneur, and I believe that the Bible says all things are possible for they that believe. It didn't say all things are possible for the person who has a spouse who believes. It didn't say all things are possible for the person who has homeboys or homegirls that believe. It didn't say all things are possible for the person who has parents that believe. It says all things are possible for you. If you believe it, it's possible. And sometimes we put our dreams on the back burner based on whether or not somebody else believes. And that is not a requirement for you to have your dream. There's only one person required to believe, and that is you. And I tell people all the time, you don't got to believe, just don't get in the doggone way. Right? If you don't got to believe, just don't get in the way, because you will get steamrolled, and that's the quickest way to ruin this relationship. But if you don't believe, that's cool. Just do not get in the way. Let's see what everybody else had to say. Tamika Williams says the dream is yours, so keep dreaming and moving forward no matter what. Yeah, I like it. Vivian says my takeaway is that whatever your goals are, take a lot of sacrifice, and you may wind up the only believer in your own dreams, but never quit. That is 1 Minute Motivation, the Chi Smith version right here on the Cortez Hustle Show. All you have to do is go to InEarthgie.com, INEarthgie.com. If you need the tools to get yourself in order, that is the place to be. So we left off, Chi, talking about you had this kind of rough childhood because of some respiratory issues as a kid that basically meant that you had to almost be in a bubble, like, and you have parents who loved you enough to create that bubble around you to allow you to still be a kid, still get to have friends and all that kind of stuff. But they created a plan to keep you safe, which was important. But then you said, as you continue to mature, you started to lose your hair, and we now know that it is alopecia. Talk about when that first happened. What was your mindset like? And I know you experienced some kids saying some hurtful and harmful things because that's just what they do. Talk about going into that journey and how did you navigate through it as a teen?
Sure. So again, with the mental health conditions that already played an internal effect on what my body was doing internally. And so, you know, when you don't take care of your body, everything is confused. It doesn't know what to do. So little did I understand that the hair loss, again, which developed into more of alopecia, stemmed from an autoimmune disease. And so, which means, those of you who don't understand what autoimmune deficiency or diseases are, it just pretty much means your body attacks itself. Your immune system is always on alert. So if there's anything that enters into the body, it automatically assumes that it's foreign and it goes into attack. Now, we have these antibodies, you know, for a reason, but it doesn't matter. It could just be something simple, but for some reason, if it just looks weird to the antibodies, they're going in full force. So that led to, again, with the health condition at early age, led to the full gamut of the hair loss, meaning that there were also blood flow was a challenge. So that means blood is not getting to the scalp, which means it's not feeding the hair follicles, which means there's no growth. And as we understand it, there's no blood flow, there's no life. So with that hair loss, mom found it trying to braid my hair. Now that comes another scare. Oh my gosh, now she's gone from, you know, respiratory issues to now hair loss. How do we fix that? You know, I can't braid her hair. How, you know, I can't do her hair. So now we're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to the salon, you know, trying to fix it, trying to incorporate different hairstyles and so on and so forth. It was a mess. Of course, when life happens and you feel like you can't control it, that can trigger into something else. So then I soon developed being anorexic. I started being, it also led into being bulimia. I was bulimia and anorexic. Then it also went into starvation. So all these things, right, didn't help. And as an adult, someone would probably speak on that and judge that. And, well, why would you do that? And probably even try to reprimand my parents. But, you know, again, this is my truth. To thine own self be true. And
That's right.
this is the story that led to why I'm so passionate about health and wellness and why it is so important. Because you don't know what you don't know, but we have to have these conversations so that we can educate our communities and those bodies around us to fully understand. So all of that, fast forward, went to college, still dealing with this hair loss, went to go see many dermatologists. They want, from injections to scalp creams to steroid pills. It was just ridiculous. It was a challenge. How can you focus like that as a college student and want to be successful and be that doctor when you have all these health conditions? Like, Lord God, how am I going to be a doctor and I can't even find healing in myself? Right.
Yeah.
So then you had those conversations and those challenges. And then I, again, fast forwarding, going into adult life, when I had my two babies, I had 2 lupus scares. And so I said, okay, enough is enough.
So what is you said lupus spears or scares?
Lupus scares. I'm sorry.
Scares. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. So let's kind of unpack a little bit before we move on, because
Sure.
I want people to understand that life is going to happen, but you always have choices as to how to deal with what happened. And I think some of the things that we deal with from a mental health perspective comes from bringing shame from our past and past actions into our present. Your parents had no idea that when they were trying to keep you alive with the medicines that the doctors were prescribing, I'm sure they had you on a lot of antibiotics and that kind of stuff. And we know what antibiotics does to the gut flora and all of that kind of stuff, which weakens the immune system over time. And all of that stuff plays a part. But I'm glad that you said something that triggered me. And you said, people will see me going through what I'm going through and want to judge or reprimand my parents, right? As if they did. And hearing what you just said about the bubble your parents created around you to keep you healthy, but somebody outside looking in, not seeing you or not knowing that about your parents, could very easily say, oh, well, this girl is starving herself. Where are her parents? Where her parents are the same people who literally created a bubble from 5 to 14 and some other issues happened. So what was the mindset that really had you going into the starvation and the bulimia and anorexia, and was it something that you just didn't feel? What was it? Just an internal not loving yourself, or what was that thought process that said, okay, this is a potential solution for me at this stage?
Yeah. So I think parents and those who are watching, parents, grandparents, any type of guardian or any type of influence in children's lives, understand if any of the young babies are, on steroids, if they're on certain medications, do your best to research those medications because they can have an effect. So I'm saying that to say, with me personally, it created me becoming overweight. So not only do I have these health conditions, and then with the many medications that I was on, listen, as we all know, you take a couple of steroids. Some steroids are good to help people gain weight so that they can eat more. And then some of it is to keep down inflammation. And some of them work simultaneous together. And so in my case, they were working simultaneous together. So it was keeping down inflammation, but it sure was kicking up that hunger. So I was eating like crazy. I was a little chubby something. And so that too did not, right? It didn't help the situation. So you're already fighting for your health, and then you're actually looking unhealthy. And so that led to, image, right? As we know, little girls and boys, deal with image issues. And to your point earlier, kids they're not always nice. So that played a part in it. Some family isn't always nice, so before you know it, enough of those chubby jokes is enough. And you know what, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And it's amazing because, again, the love for science, I learned about it, right, in science class about these different eating disorders, because you have to know about it. I mean, that's what they teach you in school. So
Yeah.
I was in a middle school, and one of my middle school teachers, we were just talking about different disorders and blah, 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 blah. Well, of course, I'm into the science. So I'm into the body, human anatomy, physiology. I want to know what's going on. And so when we were learning about the disorders, and, hey, the enemy knows just what to do to hit you in the most vulnerable places in your life, right? Why not kick you while you're down? She's already struggling. She's learning about this. Little does she understand this could actually destroy her body even the more. So it was like the enemy literally was trying to take me out early. So,
wow. Wow. Yeah. And it's funny that you said that. And this is one of the reasons that I teach entrepreneurship, is because when you can make money on your own effectively and efficiently, and you don't have to be away from the home to do it, then you can be more present, right? Because basically that's just a perversion of knowledge, right? You are learning about anorexia, but you are also susceptible to becoming anorexic as a strategy to deal with the chubby jokes and the weight and all that kind of stuff. So that knowledge was perverted because of the mental state that you were in based on your history, right? And nobody really, thought or thinks that, hey, I'm going to teach you what anorexia is. I'm going to teach you what bulimia is. I'm going to teach you, what eating disorder is and how harmful it could be. But you're not seeing it like that. You're like, hey, I might be able to lose some weight if I go this direction, right? And I can just do this for a few months, drop some pounds. So that's funny not funny, but funny as in, strange the way that information can be perverted and distorted and can become a destroyer of what you are. So you progress through the challenges, the steroids for the physical or the respiratory stuff caused you to pick up weight. And then your answer to that was, hey, let's go anorexic and bulimia. And really quickly, talk about the difference between the two, anorexia and bulimia.
Yeah. So anorexia basically is, starving yourself, just not eating, choosing not to eat, and or you're literally going very, very, very minimal on what you can eat during a day or during a week. And then bulimia literally means overloading on the food and then vomiting it out, so projectiling it out. So yeah. So you'll eat all that you want. You'll binge eat. Yeah, because look, and you're hungry. You're like, you're starving yourself. You're like, okay. And so again, it plays on your mental because you want to lose this weight, but you want to eat, and you want to. You're a kid. You're a teen. You want to eat, McDonald's or whatever else you want to eat, or look, I'll come from the South, so we know how to cook down here, right? So you want to eat that good food, and so what when you don't have the proper nourishment, it absolutely plays on the brain cells and the brain functionality. And so with that, it was a mental game, Cortez. It was a mental game. I wanted to eat. I didn't eat. But then when I would eat privately, and then I would binge eat, and then I would go privately and take care of that, so that, and then came the shame. Right. The shame. And so that actually led all the way up until I was 16 years old. And my mom caught me in the act. And so from that point forward, I had to stop, because little did I understand that I was eating away the lining in my throat. Right. Because you're putting the stress. And then, of course, and not to be graphic, but we're talking about health. Right. So let's just let people know. When you vomit,
that
of course,
acid is not supposed to be coming up that direction.
That's right.
That's right.
It ain't supposed to go up. It's not supposed to. So wrong way. So with that, so I was eating away the lining. I was putting stress on my throat. I was eating away the lining of my throat, of my esophagus. And then, of course, the acid, that was coming through to it can absolutely damage, your dental, right? So your gums, it can the acid can cause erosion in your teeth and in your gums, wow. So it was, I, as much damage that was being done, I also had to go and research it and really understand. And so there was an aha moment that said, well, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And so literally at that moment, at 16, 17, health, mental health, and health, wellness regarding eating and creating the right eating habits started at the age of 16. And it's been on fire since then.
I love it. I love it. So let's transition to the empowerment that came when you really start to understand the negative effects of this stuff and you started to own your truth, right? You mentioned that 8 years ago you had the courage to say, okay, why am I'm sure spending money on this hair situation, and you just decided to cut it all off. To me, every time I see you, I'm like, man, that is so powerful, and that's just what I feel. Is that what is that where you were when that decision? Walk us through, coming up to that decision and then doing it and walking in it now for 8 years. How has that been for you?
Sure. So, literally coming from the world of corporate America, where there is a facade as to this is how you're supposed to look. This is how this is how you're supposed to look. Let me just say that covers many different departments and categories. Yeah. And I was doing everything in my power to stay within that realm. I enjoyed what I was doing in corporate America. I felt that I was very effective in corporate America. My family absolutely saw the benefits of it. To your point, there were thousands and thousands. People think that they're spending a lot of money with hair pieces now. Baby, I was spending that 20 years ago. Okay. Don't even ask my husband how much money we was coming off of every month. He's like, gee, every month. And I was like, well, I got to keep it together, because right. I was hiding, but I was hiding. I was buying, oh my gosh, ridiculous. I mean, any type of hair care, it was just ridiculous. That spending cost was ridiculous, but it was to cover my truth. And my truth was I was yet losing my hair. Even though I was trying to do all the right things within corporate America and for my family, I still have my own internal stressors. I'm still trying to heal from the childhood traumas, right? And so being able to travel, yet not living my truth, the aha moment was we lived in the Pac Northwest. We lived in Seattle. And listen, Seattle is its own country and it's a beautiful place. And big ups to Seattle. Let's just be real. I love the Pac Northwest. And so I was looking for a hairdresser. Cortez, it was so crazy that I would travel back to Arkansas to get my hair done and go back up to Seattle because no one was doing what I needed done to me to cover those spots and to wear the certain type of hairstyles and to even get the certain hair care products I was getting. And then not even to mention the lady that had been taking care of me for years. Listen, women, we know we have a stylist. We stick to that stylist until they move away somewhere. And so, but this time she didn't move away. I moved away. So I had to come. So before you knew it, thousands and thousands of dollars to cover up what was a lie. The lie was that I wasn't beautiful. The lie was you're not adequate. The lie was you won't be accepted. And so the fact that I couldn't find a stylist in Seattle, and I walked up to a business partner and I said, listen, is there anybody? And so I was confident enough to confide within them what I had going on underneath the hairpiece. And so she was so gracious and said, you know what, let me introduce you to this lady. And this lady, big ups to Jamie Elmore out of Seattle, who's been a stylist for, oh my gosh, almost 30 years. And she too had alopecia. And that was her mission. And her mission was to help men and women and children. And to this day, she's doing just that. And she was counseling them through the process. And then she would lead them to the place of whatever decision they wanted to make. Some people already came where they were losing their hair and already bald. Some people were in the process where they still had patches and wanted to keep it. And it was just a whole process. But when I met her, when I saw her, she looks like me. And people literally thought that we were sisters. And I was like, wow. And to see her confidence And whether she was all the way there at 100% or not, the confidence that she gave me. And so, mind you, I had a weekend. I had just gotten a promotion and I had to go to Chicago for a conference. And when I met up with her, she said, Chi, I'm not saying do it, but I'm going to be real with you about your condition. I really can't do anything with this, so it's up to you. You can, I'll recommend some places where you can go and get some fabulous wigs, but I can't do what you're looking for me to do. And I really appreciate her saying that to me. And so that gave me a weekend to make a decision. So I called her up and I said, you know what, let's do it. I talked it over with my husband. I said, you know what, let's do it. And so my husband was so supportive. He actually was a part of it. And we actually have pictures. So I will post that on my personal page, Chi Smith, where my husband literally was a part of the process. He shaved my head and it was a cleansing moment. It was a whole purity cleansing moment. It was straight liberation. When I tell you, it took God to literally impart within me, to give me divine peace, to say, girlfriend, you're going to do this thing and you're going to do it with boldness. And people may look, but they're going to look with a different look. They're going to be intrigued. And so right when I did it, I'm telling you, it was an emotional moment. And literally when I got on that plane that Monday and saw those people and they were looking like, you know, who's this lady? Like when I saw her last, she had hair, like what's going on? So of course people immediately think that it's this big C word, right? But it's not. And so it just kind of led to helping educate people on what alopecia is. And then be able to walk it out in confidence and show other men and or women who look like me and those alike in other many different cultures who are experiencing it too, that it can be done. And guess what? At the end of the day, the knowledge and wisdom is in you. It ain't on you. It's in you.
That's right. That's right. It makes me think about India Ari's I Am Not My Hair. And I know, and for me personally, it's like, and of course I'm not a woman, but I see women and what they go through, you know, with their hair, and my own wife. And I'm like, man, I would have me some 365 waves and a brush and call it a day. That's just me, because it seems like, but I understand the pressure that society puts on women, especially on the corporate side. See, a lot of times we don't even take into consideration the mental stress that's put on you, especially women going to work every day, because it's easier for a man to look the part. And I'm just talking in general. Of course, black men can't look like white men, but it's easier for me to shave all the hair off my face and be a little bit more accepted than it is for you to go in the corporate world with a shaved head, for you to go into the corporate world with dreadlocks or twisties and that kind of stuff, because you're expected to have this certain appearance. Before you got out of corporate America and started doing your own thing, was that kind of the experience for you as well? It's like the mental side of just trying to keep up the appearance of what's expected, not to mention the mental stress of dealing with being passed over for promotions and all of that kind of stuff. Talk about that in the corporate world and those added stressors. And then I want you to give us some tips on some things that we can do from a holistic perspective to really guard our mental health.
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, it was absolutely a mental challenge, you know, in corporate America with that. It's often hard to even explain. It's a total feeling, because it was just external energies coming to you and trying to work against you while you were yet trying to prove your truth. It was a big challenge. I mean, I don't know. It was a big challenge. Corporate America can be cruel. Corporate America can be great. Don't get me wrong. Corporate America has been good to me, but I have also been high enough to see some ugliness. And as we all hear, you know, you get too close to the fire, you might get burned. Thank God I never got burned, but I got very close. And some stuff, isn't pretty. But yeah, just being passed over because you don't look the part. You're doing all the work, you're getting all the accolades, you got all the trophies, you got all the mantles, but yet you don't look like the whatever the next is supposed to look like. And so it's good to have you on the team, it's good to have you as the leader. It's good to have you in the place when the leader is not here. But to actually necessarily say that you are the director or you are the VP. So yes, it absolutely, worked on your mental. And so, again, with all of that in my background and my education, from medical sociology, having an MBA, being a belief therapist, it all worked within me first and helped me understand my environment in order to know how to navigate through corporate America. Because had I not had those backgrounds, and those disciplines, I probably would not be stable today. So I take pride in helping others find that balance.
Gotcha. I love it. I love it. Well, at this point in the show, we like to do something that we call freestyle. Because I know you got bars, sis. It's time for you to drop some bars on them. And no, we're not going to put it to music and you don't have to rhyme every third word. But this is just a time where I know the conversation doesn't always evolve to where we want it to go. But this was great. I think there's tremendous value in this. But I want to give you 90 seconds to really just speak from your heart. If you have some formulas, some strategies, some things that you want people to know to help them on their mental health journey, hit them with freestyle right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, the Chi Smith version. 90 seconds, sis. Go.
Sure. I just want to tell everyone, you are whole. You are whole. Know that when you were born, when you were brought into this universe, into this world, you were already made whole. And so because of that, wellness leads to wholeness. You have to be well. You have to know that. If you don't feel whole, that means you may not be well in some category department of your life. Okay. And then wholeness equals holiness. So do know that you serve a God that wants you to be whole, but then also holy, because God is holy. So wellness leads to wholeness, and then wholeness equals holiness. And I'll just drop these top 3 things, Cortez, if I may. Understand this, that we have a 3-step program on how to own your own serene environment. And with that, you focus on your physical environment, literally your physical, what's around you, your cultural environment. Who's on your team, really? What type of culture or people are you really around, right? Who's your support system? And then tactical, that actually helps people compartmentalize the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs, right? So 3 steps to creating your own serene environment. Understand the physical environment, understand your cultural environment, and understand how you think, you feel, right? And how you are compartmentalizing all of that in order to create healthy thoughts.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Because we know thoughts are things, and thoughts become who you are when you think on them enough. And I don't think we give enough credit to how the environmental inputs shape those thoughts and shape our beliefs and how we feel about ourselves. Talk about that. I know self-care is starting to get a lot of attention, but I want you to give your definition of self-care and why it's important to take time for those things, whatever they may be, to really love on yourself and nurture yourself, especially as women who are very good at doing this for everybody around them, but sometimes they neglect to do it for themselves.
Sure. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I've been talking to a friend for the past couple of weeks, and I call it B3 because, as women, we can be booked and busy, whether it's through our entrepreneurship, whether you're still in corporate America or out, working and our families and all that. But the third B, Cortez, is balance. You can be booked and busy, but where's that balance with all of that? Because you can't be booked and busy 24 hours a day. At some point, you got to slow down. You got to stop the world. You got to press pause. You got to breathe. You got to be able to recap and say, have I been productive today? You've been running, but have you been productive? Okay. Where are the results? Also, have your children seen you? Have you eaten with your children this week? Have you called on your loved ones? And not only just that, but just kind of just the things that you want to do. What do you like to do? Do you like to play golf? Do you like to watch TV? Do you like to read a book? Have you gone out to self-care? To me means doing whatever makes you happy at the moment you want to be happy. And oftentimes we sacrifice our own happiness for something or someone else. So real self-care, because it's a fad, you can throw that word around, but self-care means doing for yourself when you want to do for yourself. I just told somebody last night, we had a quick small women's group. I said, look, if someone call you if someone says, hey, what you doing Saturday at 3:00? Say, I got an appointment. But you ain't doing nothing but sitting in front of the TV, clicking it.
Yeah, that's your appointment. I got an appointment with myself and this TV.
Come on.
And we chilling, and I'm not taking on any outside stressors because this is the time that I've set aside for me. Chi, I know you got a very special offer for the Cortez Hustle Show community. Also, let them know how they can connect with you and what you got going on.
Absolutely. So InEarthgie, guys, in the earth is where you find true energy. We provide services and solutions for your everyday, every week, every month, every year lifestyle. What that means is while you are creating that self-care environment, go to InEarthgie.com, get you some solutions, rub yourself down with all of these wonderful therapeutic products so that you enjoy your self-care moment. The offer for the month of May, for the remaining month of May, on the Cortez Hustle Show, you go to InEarthgie.com, you type in wellness in the checkout, you get 20% off your entire order. It doesn't matter if it is within therapeutic hair care, skin care, even down to our collectibles and apparel. I'm actually wearing one of our shirts right now. It's called I Am Holistic. And so listen, represent for Mental Health Awareness Month. You will be happy that you did this. Okay, so we can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at InEarthgie. That's at InEarthgie. So we're all on all pretty much social media platforms. We are also growing more into some other platforms that you guys will hear about later. But that is where you can find us today.
Awesome. I love it, guys. You have been listening to and learning from Ms. Chi Smith. InEarthgie.com is the website where you can get all of your holistic pampering. We got a couple minutes left, but talk about the importance of the holistic and organic products that you guys are putting into everything, and the importance of putting the right stuff on your skin as well as in your body.
Yeah. So again, along with the long health history, I also understood that there's a lot of things that were topical that were not agreeing with me. And so we have to understand, InEarthgie was birthed in essence to creating my own regimen. I had to go back into my repertoire and all the things, again, coming from the natural state and coming from a healthcare background and also having the degrees myself. I said, girlfriend, you know how to do this. So I literally used my own stuff as a guinea pig in my family and start creating these different solutions from a topical perspective to create the right relaxation, the right mental stability, the right feel for myself. And my gosh, it worked. So then I started, sending it out to family and friends, and it worked for them too. And so what we don't understand is sometimes we have to stick to things that are organic, the things that are in the aromatic, system, if you will, right? Because everything, every essential oil, every carrier oil, things like that has a responsibility. They come from nature, right? It comes from trees and plants and flowers. And so if you don't understand the origins of them, you don't really understand how they can affect you. You can be on a high, you could have, I've had people who have come into my office with high anxiety and didn't know how to control that until we were able to recommend to them, right, some of the solutions in InEarthgie.com. Once they incorporated that into their daily life, absolutely, calmed them down and started creating more of a focal point for them to where they could be effective.
Love it. Till we talk to you next time, get your money up because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. Now hustle up.